It's Mac and Perry in the place. Da-na-na-na. Mac and Perry.
Go live to create.
Da-na-na-na. Mac and Perry invite you to stay.
Welcome to Windy City's Finest On Location with Mac and Perry. I'm Mac, he's Perry, and this is...
Tanya Plonka.
Yeah. And as it's quite obvious, we are at good times today. We're going to have a good conversation. I think it'll be really fun. So thanks so much for joining us today, Tanya. We're going to do a little kind of get to know you, a few games, have some fun before we get into your photography. So I'm going to ask a few questions. So we're going to go back to the beginning of when Lethbridge first became a city. So Lethbridge is named after A, Sir Alexander Galt's niece, B, William Lethbridge, the first president of the Northwestern Coal and Navigation Company, C, the High Level Bridge, or D, a bridge in North Yorkshire, England.
B.
William Lethbridge, you're right. Yeah.
Yay.
Who knew? Now you know. All right, another question. This is more general. Lethbridge has a motto. It's not on our signs, but it is on the flag. The motto is A, a place to grow. B, bridging communities. C, the Windy City. Or D, gateway to opportunity.
Ooh. A?
A place to grow? Yeah, that's actually Tabor. No.
Oh,
I know.
oh.
Trick question.
They don't have corn in their slogan?
No, but I think a place to grow is pretty great for Tabor.
Yeah, that's true for
right?
corn, yeah.
Yeah, and to grow a family, maybe. Anyways, we're not in Tabor. It's D, gateway to opportunity.
That would have been my second choice.
Sure. So our next game, it's called This or That. And so we'll ask a question out of this hat. All right, the first one. All right. Ooh, paper or audiobook?
Ooh. Paper. So I do everything on the computer, like absolutely everything, but I love paper books. And I'm old school, I have a paper planner.
Me too. Yeah. Well, and what do you like about the paper books?
It's easier on the eyes, and it's just satisfying to turn pages.
Right? I feel the same way. I feel like, it's more tactile. Like you
Yeah.
can just, you know where you are. And
Yep.
yeah, the only time I would, do an audiobook if driving somewhere, that's nice. But I do find that I really retain more and I enjoy it more when I'm sitting
Yeah.
with a good book.
Definitely.
Good answer. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll get on to our other game.
All right.
You can pick it.
Ooh, bury or cremate?
Oh, okay.
Is it for yourself or for other people?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you have a body you need to get rid of?
Yeah, I did not think of that. I would say for myself, I think bury generally. Yeah, I've donated. Sounds like I've donated my body to science, so they're gonna just use the parts however they want.
Yep.
I'm also like really interested in like green burials or other kind of alternative burials. But generally, I would say, I guess cremate, a little more smaller I wouldn't want like a casket or anything. So that would probably be my preference.
Yeah.
How about you?
Mine's similar. I want to make the least impact I can. So I know we don't have a lot of green options in Lethbridge. I've looked into that when making my will, but I would love to do that thing where they cremate you and you become a tree afterwards. That would be the ideal thing.
Right? Oh, those are cool. Yeah, the tree
Yeah.
pods.
Yeah.
All right, so the next game, this is this tumbling tower, as you may see here. And each piece here has a number on it, and that just corresponds to just an open-ended question, like, what's your perfect day look like? Something that you can just answer with. It's not a this or that one.
Okay, 3.
3, all right. What is your favorite film?
Oh, I just knew you were going to ask me that, and I never have an answer ready for that.
Like
Actually.
one that comes off the top of your head. It has to be like your all-time favorite.
Okay, so, well, I would say like I have a top 2. So that would be, this is like, I sound like such a scene kid from the 2000s, but Nightmare Before Christmas is the one I can watch a million times over.
Great.
And I like spooky things, and it's not that spooky, but I like that stuff. And then for a movie adaptation with Nicolas Cage. I'm not sure if you've seen
I
that
have
one.
not. I know of it. But, yeah.
It's really good. He plays twins in it, and it's bizarre, and it's about the experience of creating when you have writer's block.
Nice. All right. My turn. 16. Who is someone who inspires you? Could be in your life, could be someone in society more famous. Yeah. Anyone who you kind of look up to?
Okay, he'd be so embarrassed, but I'll say my partner because
Okay.
he's very self-doubting, but he's such a kind person. Like he's always trying to help people in need, and it encourages me to be a better person. And I know I encourage him to be a better person, so it's this really nice cycle we have going on. And
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, great. That's lovely. Yeah. All right. I guess it's my turn. Whew, feeling the pressure with this table here. Oh, that one feels good.
Oh, this table's terrible. This is what's terrifying.
All right. All right. Number 10. This is an easy one. What's your favorite season?
Spring. Yeah.
Why is that?
I love when all the blossoms are out. This is the photographer coming out. So it's very pretty to photograph. I love the smell of all the flowers. I love that everything's blooming. It feels like a nice fresh start. The weather's nice. Love it.
Great. Yeah, it's a great time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, actually like autumn is my favorite probably. Like I really like summer. Yeah, we spend a lot of time hiking and going out on adventures in summertime. But I think just that transition of like it's been really hot and summery, and then you get those cooler temperatures. You can start wearing sweaters, and although we don't have a lot of it here, the color's changing, and if the leaves stick around, it's very pretty. So yeah, I just love fall and like Thanksgiving and all that stuff. So we'll do one more.
Let's go for number 2.
Sure. Last one.
It'll come out. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, this is an easy one. What does your perfect day look like?
Perfect day.
Yeah.
Let's do a summer one because that's a nice
Sure.
time of year.
Some glamping.
Yes,
Go ahead.
without the glamping. Stayed in my own bed.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I would go out to the Crow's Nest Pass, go paddle boarding for a couple hours, go visit my mom for a little bit, then come back and play video games with my partner while we cuddle our kitties.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Yeah, yeah. I think for me, I like to read, so I'd probably spend maybe the morning reading. Yeah, if there was time, so I would also probably go out to the mountains, maybe in the pass, go for a hike or something. And yeah, I often enjoy, after hikes, my partner will because we're tired, like watch a movie or something. So yeah, just watch a movie, and we also have cats, 3 cats. So hang out with the cats. We're in good company. This is good. Yeah, great. Well, thankfully it didn't fall over. That's all the time we have for this segment. This has been the Windy City's Finest on Location with Mac and Perry. I'm Mac, he's Perry, and this is
Tanya Plonka.
Yeah, all right. And we will be back soon for our next segment.
Hello and welcome once again to the Windy City's Finest on Location here at Good Times. I'm Perry, he's Mac, and this is
Tanya Plonka.
Yes, and thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and talk. And I'm super excited to dive into our next segment here about your artistic practice and your journey so far and where you're going and what your hopes and dreams are. And yeah, I think I usually just like to start pretty broad and just tell me about your kind of what it is you do.
All right.
What do you do?
So I like to tell people I do photographs as long as there are people or pets in them.
People or pets?
I don't do landscape. I leave that to the experts for there, but I'll see a beautiful landscape and think that would look good with a person in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so commercially I do a lot of weddings. That's my passion. I do a lot of families, I do grads, kind of all that standard stuff, headshots. I really love doing pets, so I do any types of animals. I include them with the people or on their own. And then for my more personal projects, I like to get into more kind of cosplay and horror and fantasy, just kind of weird, creative things like that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And where did your photography journey start? Did it start with pets? Did it start with people? Did it start with cosplay?
I think the farthest back I remember, it started with candy, actually. So
wonderful.
I would always steal my mom's camera when I was a child, and I would, if I got any kind of interesting candies or gummies, I would arrange them in certain ways, and I would steal the camera and take photos of them. And my mom was not too happy with that because film cost money back then.
Right, yeah.
But I had to do that, and I love photographing our pets. I always had pets growing up, loved photographing them. In high school, I was getting into it a bit more. I joined yearbook just to take some photos for it. So I would go around. We actually had a digital camera then. It was in 2002. So those very early digital cameras.
Nice.
So it only hold like 10 photos at a time. So I did that. And then, once I got to university, I got my first proper digital camera, and I just started taking photos all the time. So I would go to concerts all the time, take photos of bands at bars, and the love just grew from there.
My next question is just like, what do you get out of these sessions? I mean, it might seem obvious, but I don't know, maybe not. Like, what does it mean to you to be able to do those sessions and offer that to people?
Well, it's such an important part of their lives, and I want to make sure they have good memories of that, because so many people I hear, they mean to do, say, family photos, and then grandpa gets cancer and passes away unexpectedly, and they never got good photos together. So for me, that's really important. And I grew up with, my mom took lots of photos of us, so I have more photo albums than I know what to do with. But it's nice to have all those memories of everything, and I want to share that with other people.
Yeah, and getting to kind of capture that. And it sounds very vulnerable. And so I don't know if you have any more thoughts on that, the whole vulnerability aspect of it. And I know in your bio you mentioned making people feel comfortable and like easy in front of the camera. What can you share about that? How?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So I think a lot of people, their experience with photos is they've been told, like, sit there and behave, and it's going to take a long time, and you can't do anything. But I like to keep things really flowing and feeling natural. So I work fast, which is honestly partly like an anxiety thing. I do have anxiety, but it makes me work fast, and that helps people. So it's funny, like, being anxious puts people at ease in that way. But yeah, I go through so fast that people don't really realize what's happening, and then it's over before they know what has happened to them.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and I imagine, I mean, what comes to mind for me, that whole anxiety part, which is totally valid, is that idea of being trusted. There's a certain amount of responsibility that comes with that. But also, yeah, people in these vulnerable states, like, it sounds like you really genuinely want to take care of them and kind of shift their perspective on what it means to have photos taken. So
yeah, there's a lot of situations where we will be, fixing a bride's dress that broke in some way, or like my partner will run and grab them water, or we'll get umbrellas for them if they're getting heat stroke. Like, part of our job is just looking after people. And it's a lot of like the physical contact too, like fixing people's hair for them and their makeup, and they want someone to do that because they want to look good.
yeah, and they don't necessarily have the capacity to do it themselves.
Yeah.
So that's what you're there for. And it sounds like you're not just taking photos. You're not just clicking the button.
No.
Like, you're doing a whole lot more than that. Was it always like that, or is that something that you've kind of like grown into?
I've partly grown into it. It's definitely become more intense, especially like becoming a wedding photographer. I worked at the Sears Portrait Studio when I was going to university, and that was very detail oriented just because that was still on film. So we only were allowed to take 8 photos of each sitting. So like, it had to be perfect.
Yeah.
So I got used to those kind of like micro adjustments for people. But it wasn't as personal because it was like get them in and out in 10 minutes. So once I started doing like more professional photography, to actually spend the time I needed, made that extra connection with the trust.
Wonderful. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up in that idea of taking time with people, because I think that is kind of maybe a misconception, is like, it has to be fast, and you know what I mean, and potentially that bigger business kind of commercial aspect of it, and I just think that's really beautiful that you're able to do that and take that time with people, and I'm sure it probably means a lot to people. And I guess my next question there would be, what has been the reactions to your photos when they finally get them?
Oh, people are like always so happy. I've been really lucky. I've had like such positive feedback to my work. There's always going to be like a few complaints, but I'm surprised how few I've gotten.
Right.
I think just because people have had that good experience, and that just makes you feel better about your photos. Whereas, if you had a bad experience having your photo taken, you're just going to go into it negatively, like, oh, these didn't turn out, and
Right.
that's what you're going to assume. But yeah, I have people like even surprised if they have, you know, kids or animals misbehaving, and they're like, how did you get all these happy photos
That
of my
millisecond.
kids? Yeah,
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like I do a lot of photos where if a baby's crying, you can time it so they look like they're laughing. So I'm really good at that.
Tricks of the trade.
Yeah, so some people are like really surprised at how the photos turned out, and yeah, and I'll have people who I've never photographed who have seen my work, and they even sing my praises and refer me out. So it's been really great. You know, a lot of people are very uncomfortable having their photo taken, and especially it's a big thing with mothers that they're usually the ones taking photos of their kids, and
Right.
they're never in the photos. So for them to hire me is a really big deal. And I just want them to feel comfortable and feel beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is that? I'm just trying to get a picture now of like coming into a session potentially of that. And I think there's something in what you're speaking to there about, you know, mothers that are always behind the camera, kind of not taken for granted maybe, but they're putting in the work.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean to give back to them and make them look beautiful, like you say?
It's just like I get so much of a reward for seeing them at ease. Like there's still going to be their stress of them wrangling their kids and everything. But I think one thing I do that really helps is I take full control out of photo shoot. I don't say, oh, just go over there and do something. Like I tell them exactly what to do. I tell them where to sit, where to put their limbs and everything. And I think that helps put them at ease because that's one less decision they have to make. Usually they're making all the decisions for their family, and now it's like they're just being told what to do, and that's so easy.
Yeah. And you spoke a little bit to kind of how you started taking photos, but I'm just curious, when do you remember like the moment you decided I'm going to be a photographer, or has it just kind of happened?
Yeah. No, there was a moment. So I went to university, the U of L, the University of Lethbridge, to do the new media program. So I'd always done creative stuff. I loved drawing when I was a child. I loved taking photos with my mom's camera, but I was very computer savvy. So I thought new media was perfect. I was either going to do website design or 3D animation because I really was interested in that. And I made it about a year and a half in. In the meantime, I got a job at the school paper, the Meliorist, as the entertainment editor. So I was going to review all these concerts, and I was just bringing my digital camera with me and photographing all these bands. And I was getting a reputation in the music scene for, oh, she's coming to our shows, can you please take our photos and put them on your website? And all the bands were asking me to come see them. And I was just so passionate about doing it. And I wasn't really liking the program. Like, no dig on the program, it wasn't for me, especially 3D animation. That was not my calling, I found out. That was the worst class I had for everything. So I think it was about 2 years in, and I just had this epiphany where I'm like, photography is the only thing that I'm confident in for my skill level, and I'm building this reputation. So with basically no warning, I went to my academic advisor and I said, I am switching. And she was like, do you want to think about this? And I was like, nope. So I dropped a bunch of classes. Like I did all this within 24 hours. I dropped a bunch of my new media classes. And I just switched into multidisciplinary. I had already figured out I could kind of keep my degree going without losing anything. And I took every photography class the university had, which was very minimal back then. But I made an independent study with one of the photography professors and just did studio classes so I could work on that. And I didn't lose any of my credits, and it worked out good. And it felt natural. I started getting hired by friends to take photos for very cheap back then. But yeah.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Just kind of that natural progression, but it sounds like you had to make the decision.
Yeah.
Didn't kind of just fall in your lap. Like
Yeah.
it sounds like you went and got it.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. And I'm also really curious about using different, using film versus digital. And then you also have spoken a few times to that idea of like spending all your time at the computer. And so I'm curious about that. But let's start with using like film and digital and those different options in your experiences with those.
So film for me has always been kind of more of like a creative personal thing. So I started like I said, with my mom's film camera, but it was just a point and shoot. It was like you put the film in and you take it to get developed. In high school, I got to try black and white developing for the first time.
Okay.
The cameras were old and did not work very well, and we were like in grade 9, so the photos were not good quality. But yeah, in university, I did all the black room or dark room black and white photography courses, and I liked doing it. The chemicals were not for me. I developed a really bad cough the whole time I was there. It was fun. I found it very meditative to develop photography, but the developing part was not doing well for me physically. But everything I was doing commercially, like bands and everything, I loved doing digital. Like I loved the color quality better, mostly because I was doing black and white when it was film. The university didn't have a color developing lab at the time, so it was like send it to London Drugs and hope for the best if you did color. So I like doing color on digital better, and I'm definitely a color photographer. I love bright colors and vivid colors. So digital's been the way I've done it. I love spending time on the computer. Even though I quit new media, I was really into web design for a long time. My last website design is the first time I didn't do my website myself. So that was a big step to take. But I still I'm on the computer all the time. So editing online just or on computer makes sense to me. But I still have my film camera, and I'll still do some rolls for fun if I get a friend to model for me.
Yeah. What can you tell me about failing, as it were? Like, it even feels wrong saying it, because in my mind it's like you're still taking a step forward by taking that photo that didn't quite work. And what more can you tell me about that?
Well, one thing I encounter a lot is, say I'll be going through a wedding afterwards, and I see how I could have made the photo better, but that's only when I'm editing it. It's too late now. I see that every single wedding, every single photo shoot. I'm like, that photo would have been better for this. But then I bring that with me to the next photo shoot. I'm like, okay, now I can experiment a bit and see if I can capture what I had in mind for that. And that's how I've improved as a photographer. So it's hard to get through that regret of each photo shoot where I feel like, oh, I let them down because this photo could have been so much more amazing. And they still think it's amazing. They don't know that I'm at home going, oh no, I ruined it.
And like, what do you do specifically? Is it just like a mantra, or you just have to keep reminding yourself that you have the next one and that they will enjoy it still? Or how do you?
So I first think, okay, they'll be happy with these photos, especially if they've never had professional photos done. Like, I'm like, this is probably the best they've ever had. So even if I feel like I did like an 80% job, it's going to be 100 to them. And then I just try to really focus on where I feel like I could have improved a specific photo. And I carry that in my mind for the next few months maybe. And maybe it'll be 5 photo shoots later that I actually, in the moment, remember to try it. And then it might not work. So I just keep trying until it does work.
Awesome.
People always ask me, why don't you have a studio? And it's because of that. A studio is boring. It's always the same. I don't feel like I can be as creative there because, I mean, I could try to think outside of the box, but there's only so much you can do in that box. But the nature is always changing. So even though I'm kind of following this cookie cutter for my commercial work, every session is still going to be different because I'm dealing with different groups of people and they have a different relationship with each other. And the environment looks different every time. Even the leaves change color different ways and the wind blows things different ways. So it always gives me that creativity for every photo shoot to have it constantly changing. And it just feels good to be out in nature and see all the animals and stuff.
Not everybody gets to work out in nature and be like, I'm at work right now.
Not everyone has screamed when a pheasant has jumped out of the bushes at them during a photo shoot, which has happened more than once to me.
When exactly did you start your business? A business of?
So it was in, I think, 2008 that I started my business officially. So I went and but like registered my business name and everything. And that's kind of when it officially started. So, and I did get a day job. But I was doing my business full time. So it was like 2 full-time jobs for a few years. It was a little intense, but I built up a really good client base in that time. And a lot of people, in the meantime, the other couple had moved to Calgary, so any of our old clients just found me, remembered my name, and it just grew from there.
Nice. That's wonderful. I think that is all the time we have for this segment.
Okay.
So thank you so much for your insight and your experience and just sharing. Yeah, this has been the Windy City's Finest on location here at Good Times. I'm Perry, he's Mac, and this is
Tanya Plonka.
Welcome to the Windy City's Finest on location at Good Times with Mac and Perry. I'm Mac, he's Perry, and this is
Tanya Plonka.
Great. All right, Tanya. So we're back, and we talked about your photography journey and why you became a photographer and all those great things. But of course, photography is about pictures. So we got to see some pictures.
Yes.
We're going to go through some of your work, and I'm very curious about this first image that you've brought up. So tell me about this photo shoot.
All right. So whenever anyone asks me what is the most odd or unusual or memorable thing I've photographed, I always bring up this wedding. So this wedding was done on Halloween at their friend's farm, very goth wedding, and the bride arrived in a coffin carried by the groomsmen. So I have a few from the series. So she was a little scared going in. I was there photographing her going in, but they closed her in there, tipped it up right, and then her dad pulled her out of the coffin for her to come down the aisle.
Okay.
So then we did some photos in the coffin at the end. So it was basically, they did a sunset ceremony. So when we went to portraits, it was pitch black outside at a farm. So there's literally no light. My partner was shining a flashlight on them so I could focus my camera. And it was fun. It was freezing cold because of course it was Halloween in southern Alberta. But we used lights and made it work, and it was so fun and unusual.
That is a good way to describe it. Yeah, I love it. I love the creativity of it and how different it is, and I think that's really interesting because like so many times people think of a white wedding and it's very conventional, and this seems very unique and personal for sure. Let's go back to that very first photo, maybe. I kind of want to talk about the photos themselves a little bit. I love what's going on here with like you have like the farm equipment in the background, and then you have the people in their goth look. I guess one thing that comes to mind is like, so do you know these people? Do they approach you and say, hey, I want you to do this photo shoot?
So her bridesmaid, I had photographed her and her sisters before. I actually do taiko drumming with her mom. Okay. So it was kind of a distant family connection there. But yeah, part of it was she found me through her friend and liked my style, and yeah.
And like you said, there's some lighting challenges there?
Yeah, so I had my partner just, I can't remember what direction he was for me, but just kind of off screen, holding the flash, because in the wind it blows over in Lethbridge. He's my voice activated light stand, we call him, so he just usually holds the light for me so it doesn't get damaged. Yeah. And while he's also holding a flashlight here so I could focus on them, so he definitely had his hands full.
Yeah. Let's see another photo shoot that you did.
Right.
We don't know what's coming. It'll be
Lots
a
of
surprise,
surprises.
right?
So this was kind of a combination commercial friend creative photo shoot. So I had a friend who was getting divorced and she wanted to destroy her dress. Her suggestion was she wanted to burn it. And I said, let's have some fun with it first. So she let me kind of run with whatever ideas I wanted as long as we were allowed to burn it in the end. That was her one stipulation. So I said it would be funny if we had the dress get more and more destroyed as the day went on. So she's actually a dog trainer. So we got one of her clients' dogs. This was very difficult. The dog was very well behaved and did not want to grab the dress and rip it. So she tied a knot and put treats in the knot. So the dog would rip it. And then I had photoshopped some seagulls in attacking her and ripping it a bit more. And then she took scissors to it. So we were quite a sight. There weren't a lot of people. We went to Park Lake for this portion. And there weren't a lot of people, but the people who saw us were like, what is going on here? So she really went with it. And And then at the end, we made a fire and she burned it. And we did photos of that. So it was a very cathartic experience for her. So this is one of the things where I feel really honored being a part of these, because it was very emotional. Like during the fire, a few times she had to like take a pause and kind of collect her emotions. But it was so meaningful to see her take this step in her life like that.
No, that's great that you could help her with that. And
yeah,
I find that so interesting because I feel like so many times maybe people don't want to talk about a breakup or a loss or things like that, and they maybe don't have ways to grieve or to move on. And so, yeah, this is a very clearly very unique way to do that.
Yeah, I like to say I love photographing love, but I can photograph not love too. Okay, so this is so fun. This isn't totally an original idea. I have to give credit where it's due. One year I did see someone made a pink ghost photo shoot, but they barely did anything with it. I'm like, come on, you guys can be more creative than that. And when I think of pink, I think of a local makeup artist we have, Cat Panic, just to name drop here, who does everything pink. Like, she is known for being pink. She has pink hair, everything. So I asked her if she would like to model for me, and she graciously said yes. So all the props belong to her. I brought the pink sheet, and she basically sourced all of her pink Halloween stuff. So we did Pink Ghost Has a Fun Fall Day. And it was so hard. It's good that her face wasn't showing, because we were laughing through this whole thing. I could barely take the photos.
So what's going on?
So in here, this is her backyard. So she has a pink fence, and she has one of those Home Depot giant skeletons, but she's painted it pink. And we have pink pumpkins and all kinds of stuff. So here she's just chilling. This was kind of like one of our setup shots to kind of get in the flow of things, get into character and everything. And then we started going on adventures. So still some in her yard, just interacting with some of the props she had, nothing too crazy. Her ghost enjoying, it's a nice fall day. You needed some coffee. Some more in the yard. And then we went out on an adventure. And then I love the trope of the ghost hitching a ride and like pulling up the sheet. So we had to do that too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I love, like when I said I like doing spooky stuff, it doesn't have to be like scary. I just like cryptids and things in like regular portrait situations. So I tried to make this like a regular family photo shoot like I would do, but with a pink ghost instead.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's, again, very creative, and I love those different like nods to different things.
Yeah.
And and I guess you talked about like you're telling that story and figuring it out as you go along.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that like? It was more just like play then for this
It
kind
was
of photo
so
shoot?
much play.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's super fun. I love it. Yeah.
It just felt like two kids just doing stupid stuff around and ending up with fun photos.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's great.
The next one is my COVID project.
Oh.
So when we
Love that word.
we weren't allowed to go anywhere, so you got to do stuff at home. So this is, if I am stuck in the box in a studio, this is what I came up with. So I set up a gray background in my living room, because I don't have a studio. And for an entire month, I would gather items of a specific color and do a photo shoot with them.
Okay.
So these are all self-portraits, which is, self-portraits are a beast unto their own. They are so hard to do.
Why is that?
So hard to focus on yourself. Because I wanted them to be true self-portraits. I didn't want, my partner pressing the shutter. I wanted to be that I took them.
Okay.
So for all my setups, I had my chair and I had a mirror opposite me so I could see my pose. And then I have an app on my phone that triggers my camera. So it used to be just a remote that you would do, but now there's a whole app, so it's a little more involved. So I would take the photo, hide the phone under my butt, and do my pose really quick.
Okay.
So there was a lot of trial and error there. A lot of times my camera couldn't find where I was to focus on me, so a lot of frustration, but everything worked out in the end. So I did every color and gathered everything I have that would fit within each color, and came up with creative ways to use those items in a photo.
That's great, yeah. Really, that really brings out your gaming side, yeah.
And then I also, I do dance as a hobby, so I have a lot of wild dance costumes, so those really helped dress me for this photo shoot. The green one, so the pickle costume belongs to my partner, who does, every year he does a fundraiser called the Pickle Challenge. He's a streamer. So he hates eating pickles, and people pay him to eat pickles to raise money for Doctors Without Borders.
Oh.
So that's his thing.
Great.
So I borrowed his pickle costume for this. It's very important use of it.
Yeah.
My favorite one is orange, because I have an orange cat. So he had to be, he hated this.
Yeah.
We have a lot of outtakes of him like hissing at me and all that. This was the only one that my partner took. I tried to take some with self-timer, and they weren't quite in focus. So this is the one that's not truly a self-portrait. someone else pressed the button, but
You didn't have to tell us that. But we wouldn't know. And yeah, it makes sense, dealing even with your own animal,
Yeah.
dealing with the animal.
yeah, he likes to do what he wants to do. So
Yeah.
each one took days to set up. Yeah, I have a lot of pink stuff, so this one was pretty easy to pull off. I have a purple bicycle, so I was dragging my bike out of the shed and into our living room for doing this. I had a purple wig even. I even my makeup matched the colors. I went full out with these. I was buying fruit, I have pomegranate here. I did a few poses with each color, so even the pink one, I'm holding a dragon fruit. So
Great.
I went all out.
Yeah, absolutely.
The white one, the pouring milk was my partner's idea. I thought that was really brilliant, and I didn't spill any.
Good job, yeah. Well, yeah. The bears. Oh man. And what is this theme, if you had to say, other than just yellow?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a snake.
Kind of, yeah, just, I don't know. This one felt the most eclectic to me. I had the badminton racket and the snakes and ladders board. I did I had some yellow sunglasses I wore on some of the alternate ones and holding the badminton racket. And
Yeah, this is a very creative use of that time. So yeah, really appreciate you showing us your very creative photo shoots.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's all the time we have for this segment. So this has been the Windy City's Finest On Location here at Good Times with Mac and Perry. I'm Mac, he's Perry. And one last time, this is
Tanya Plonka.
Thanks so much for watching.
It's Mac and Perry in the place. Da-na-na-na. Mac and Perry.
Go live to create.
Da-na-na-na. Mac and Perry invite you to stay.